All right, welcome in. Happy Monday. We're live right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Hope all of you out there have been having a fantastic Labor Day weekend. And I know this for certain. We have a fantastic show on the docket for today's 49ers Report. Week 1 coming up on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And on today's show, discussing all of the latest San Francisco 49ers happenings. What you can expect on today's show. Latest on Nick Bosa. Still without that contract extension. Is he going to play week 1? We're going to hit that first. 49ers Steelers preview as well as the Niners injury report. Of course, some notable names on that list. And we're going to break down all of the Niners starters as a really good primer to get you set up for what to expect from this football team going into the 2023 season. 230 people already watching live. As you come in here, support the show. Hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. And with that, let's get the comment section going here. Where are you watching from? We're emanating live from the Chat Sports studios, but where are you? I know that people who watch this show literally tune in from everywhere, so let us know exactly where you are. Mike is in Virginia Beach. We have Spokane, Washington from Wet Noodle. Ken, Tacoma, Washington. Xavier is in York, South Philly, Harrisburg, Dallas, the UK as we go international for the first time. Washington, Memphis, Fresno, Morgan Hall, San Lorenzo, California, Mission, Texas, Tacoma, upstate New York, Sacramento, Australia from Moose Cow, Aussie, 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 oi, 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 Richmond, Virginia, Stockton, California, Steve Young's attic, very interesting right there. Placerville, California, Florida, San Antonio, California, Florida, Ohio, Long Island. The list goes on and on and on. It's great to have you all here. As for our programming schedule, make sure you subscribe to the channel for daily updates on the Niners. And of course, this is your one-stop shop to get you ready for week 1 against the Steelers. We are live today. We'll be live again on Thursday. And, of course, we'll be going live week 1 watch party against Pittsburgh. Our coverage starts an hour before kickoff for our pregame show at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. for those of you on the West Coast. And if you're tuned in internationally, you do the time change for yourselves. Or just hit that bell icon. Therefore, when we do go live and you have your notifications on, you will be notified. So with 250 people watching live, only 45 likes. Show some love. If you want more people to come in here, smash that thumbs up icon, like the video. A lot of you are here to get the latest on Nick Bosa, so we'll give you some information on that front. According to Albert Breer, he said the other day there's about a $4 million difference between what Bosa's camp wants and what the 49ers might be willing to pay. And that difference in salary is kind of between being the highest paid defensive end and getting what Aaron Donald got from the Los Angeles Rams. Bosa, for sure, is set to become the highest paid defensive end in the NFL. I think he's going to overtake T.J. Watt and his average annual value. But the big looming question for Bosa and his camp, will he make more than Donald's $31.6 million? Because if that's the case, that would make Bosa the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league. And coming off Defensive Player of the Year honors, 18.5 sacks last year, 15.5 the year before that. He's 25 years old, and it's all about leverage at this point. It's all about the bragging rights of becoming the highest paid non-quarterback to ever take the football field. And if you have an opportunity to be named that guy and get that type of money, that's what Bosa and his camp are seeking. And as of this moment, it seems as though they're not willing to get pushed off of that number, whereas San Francisco is not willing to meet that number. So you looked at the Aaron Donald numbers. Now you look at the highest paid edge rushers. Bosa's going to get more than T.J. Watt's $28 million. And I think that San Francisco is fine and dandy with paying that. He's going to overtake his brother, Joey Bosa, who right now is the second highest paid edge rusher. But the big question here for Bosa, will he get more than Aaron Donald? And that's what this contract snafu and these negotiations are coming down to from everything that I've heard and everything that's been reported by some national football reporters. So will Nick Bosa play week 1 a.k.a. will he be on the field against the Pittsburgh Steelers at Acrisure Stadium come Sunday? Type on or off. This is also our live poll question here. 71% maintaining faith and confidence that a deal gets done. They think the Bosa, yes, he will be on the field. 29% saying no contract by Sunday. 252 votes in there. We'll continue to relay those results, but get those votes in. Ken said off, Jalen said on, Eric Knight said on, Quentin Smith said on, Joseph, he thinks that the deal is going to happen on Wednesday. Joe Martinez saying off. Joseph Talmadge, who's always in the chat, saying on. Scarecrow Raider, no. Rafael Lopez on. So really a mixed bag as far as what people are expecting. There's also this report from Jeremy Fowler. We talked earlier about the update from Albert Breer, but this one coming from Fowler of ESPN. Nick Bosa and the 49ers, a bit more optimism here, he said. People I talked to believe that he will be the highest paid defensive player in the league, above Aaron Donald's number, if they can get this at the finish line. The 49ers would like to push this through before week 1, but the deal getting done before week 1 is not a slam dunk. A deal of this magnitude has a lot of nuance to it that they have to shake out with the structure and the guarantees and all that. And if you watched the show last week, I talked about the nuances of this contract. When you're talking about this much money, signing bonus, guaranteed money, is it a front-loaded deal? Is it a back-loaded deal? For San Francisco, you think about some of the lofty contracts that they're paying guys like Trent Williams, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, soon to be Brandon Ayuk, soon to be Talanoa Hufanga, soon to be Nick Bosa. They do have to get these finances in order and look ahead 3 to 5 years to see what that looks like. Brock Purdy also looming down the pipe as well. So for 49er fans out there, who are getting a little bit panicked and fear is starting to come in that a Bosa deal hasn't happened yet with this team set to take the field on Sunday, a reason to remain calm? Well, it's fitting that the week 1 opponent for the Niners is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the last example of this that we saw was the situation between TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, there was a difference here. TJ Watt held in. Nick Bosa has been holding out. But back in 2021, Steelers and TJ Watt did not agree to a long-term extension until 2 days before the opener. And that deal got done 48 hours, right, before the Steelers season opener. It didn't affect TJ Watt in that football game. He played a lot in that opener, in fact, 69 of 85 snaps, and he was a marquee contributor in that win. 2 sacks and a forced fumble in that 23-16 victory over Buffalo. So if you want to compare scenarios and you're worried about Bosa not signing this deal yet, and this seems to be a situation that could take us up until kickoff. Recent example, TJ Watt, he did play a lot and played really well. I still think that if Bosa gets this deal done, regardless of when it happens this week, he might be on a little bit of a pitch count. I'd be surprised if he goes 69 of 85 snaps, but any Nick Bosa is better than no Nick Bosa. As for Kyle Shanahan and what his plan would be if Bosa were to sign that deal, I've never had to make that decision before, and I won't make that until I see him. I mean, I'm going to do everything I can to hope that he plays against Pittsburgh. It's just when he gets here and making sure that he's in football shape and we don't do anything that jeopardizes not having him later. And for San Francisco, it is important to look ahead down the road because this is a team with Super Bowl aspirations. And while everybody wants the Niners to win this Week 1 game against Pittsburgh, the season isn't over in Week 1. Your season does get crushed, and your hopes of a Super Bowl does get dashed if Nick Bosa does suffer a long-term injury, or even if it's a soft tissue type of injury that keeps him out of the lineup for several weeks. That is very problematic for this football team. Speaking of that Week 1 matchup against Pittsburgh, who are you going with? SF for the Niners, PIT for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Get those game predictions into the comment section here. I'll start to give you some more shout-outs as we inch closer and closer to our official show starting. There's so much to get to. I hope all of you continue to hang out with us. Chris likes the Niners to beat Pittsburgh. Janice going with the Niners. Joseph, San Francisco, also mentioning that he's a real one. Yes, you are. Xavier, John Wallace, still riding with the Niners to take down the Steelers. T. Phillip, Niners. I haven't seen one pit in there, so Niner fans very confident that San Francisco is going to be victorious, and stay tuned because we do have a Niners-Steelers preview coming your way just around the corner. If you want to support the show and send in a donation, here is our Super Chat menu. And as always here on the show, we like to have a lot of fun. For instance, if you send in $5, I'll give you a Niner mug cheers. If you send in $10, your initials go on our absolutely awesome San Francisco 49ers lunch pail. Come week one, we're done using this because lunch pail is gritty. So too is training camp, the preseason, the dog days of August. That's why we've been filling this up with all of your names. So $10, your name gets on the lunch pail. $20 Super Chat, I'll do 20 push-ups because the Niners are getting that work in. Shoot, we might as well get some work in as well. Plus, we were in Charlotte over the weekend for UNC South Carolina. Drank a lot of beer. So let's work those off with doing some push-ups, but we'll also drink some beers. $50 shotgun or a beer bong. And if anybody sends in a $100 donation, we're doing this all throughout this year. You enter an exclusive club here on the show. You become a member of the Gold Mine Hall of Fame. Here's everybody up until the last couple of weeks that have sent in a $100 super chat. Gump Wolf, Double B Studio, Black Mask, Big Hurt, Lord Buddy Bear, Scott Turner, Adventures in EDS, Lyle Boyard, John Aiello, Danny Smith Mathis, and then during our live show last week, things got crazy. Olive Oil, Night Shift Garage, Mike Orduna, Zico Jones, Ray Rogers, and Paris Smith, the newest members of the Gold Mine Hall of Fame. So again, if you want to send in a tip to support the show, it goes a long way in us giving you content every single day. It's a rectangular box with the $sign through it. But you can also be a part of the show for free. We're going to be doing a mailbag on today's show, so start getting your questions in right now. But make producer Rolly's job a little bit easier. There are so many comments that come in. So if you have a question, hot take, observation, analysis that you want to pass along on the show, use hashtag 49ers with your comment. We'll get those featured. But anybody who sends in a super chat, you skip the line and we answer your questions first. 322 people watching live. That number will only continue to grow all throughout the day. If you're ready to start the official show, I want everybody out there to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. We should be able to get to 200 likes before we officially start with this many people watching live. So if you're ready to break everything down, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Can we get to 200 likes before we get started? We're already up to 124 right now, so continue to pepper that thumbs up icon and like the video because the official show live on the San Francisco 49ers Report on this great Labor Day is about to begin. Lolo said, let's go. King Dingy, New Monster, Moose Cow, Travis, Angel, T. Phillip, all saying let's go. Valen also getting a question in, hashtag 49ers. Rob Smith, who's our kicker? We're going to talk about that. John Wallace saying let's go. Evan Hinders is here. We're up to 140 likes. Let's get to 150, and we'll start the show.
It's got to be minimum 150.
Got to be minimum 150 before we start the program here because there's so much to talk about today. I'm ready to do it. We just need 150 likes, and we'll start to dive right in. So continue to like the video here. What Noodle 187, the real one. Killahunter Ray, DK, Kenneth, all in the chat right now. Continue to keep that chat popping. Like the video, subscribe to the show. We're past 150 likes. Let's not stop there. So much to get to on the show. We're going to start off with our Niners-Steelers preview. It's Rolly. It's Chase. Official 49ers Report Live begins right now. What's good? Welcome in. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. As for what we're getting into, it's game week. The regular season starts on Sunday, so we're going to break down our Niners-Steelers preview, take a look at the injury report, keys to the game, what to watch, and my official score prediction. Before we get started, though, I'm pumped up. If you're stoked to see the Niners on the field for a game that actually counts on Sunday, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Pretty much everybody should be smashing that thumbs up icon and liking the video. So you look at this week 1 matchup between San Francisco and Pittsburgh. One of the reasons I'm really excited about this game, aside from regular season football being back, this is a matchup between two blue bloods in the NFL. You think about when the NFL started to really gain popularity nationwide, it was in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. That's when the popularity of this game really started to skyrocket. And some of the teams that were quote-unquote blue bloods at the time were the teams that were really good in those separate eras. In the 70s, Pittsburgh Steelers, 80s and 90s, San Francisco 49ers. You throw in some other organizations in there, like the Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers. So this is a marquee matchup between two historic organizations, but two organizations also that are in the history books for the National Football League. We segue from that to the 49ers injury report. Some players banged up. That's some bad news, but we start off with some solid news on the injury report for the Niners here. Talanoa Hufanga did practice on Tuesday. He's had that cyst behind his knee. That's a good sign for him. Dre Greenlaw was also on the practice field at the SAP Performance Center. He's missed some time because of a hamstring injury. George Odom was out of the blue jersey, meaning that he couldn't participate in practices before. The special teams ace has been dealing with the shoulder ailment. Jake Moody taking practice kicks. So he continues to progress really well. He has that quad injury. And Brock Purdy, full go because of that elbow. As for some of the unfortunate Niners injury news that we're going to continue to monitor all throughout this week, George Kittle not practicing on Monday, I should say, for these. It's not Tuesday yet. So George Kittle on Monday not practicing. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. He did sprint on the side field, but is still dealing with that adductor injury that's been lingering the last couple of weeks. Deshaun Gibson did not practice. He said he's been dealing with some nicks and bruises, but did say he will practice this week for San Francisco. Jordan Mason still out because of that foot injury. Oren Burke still out because of the PCL injury. And then Ray McLeod did not practice because of that broken wrist that he had to undergo surgery for back a couple of weeks ago. Of course, going into this week 1 game, as we're live right now on this fine Monday, still no Nick Bosa deal yet. The 49ers and Bosa's camp haven't been able to come to a contract extension yet. And for the 49ers to win this game, obviously, it changes drastically. The outlook of their team, the look of their team, the feel of their defense when Bosa is on the field as compared to him not being on the field. So with that, who you got in this game come Sunday? Give me an SF for the Niners, PIT for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that San Francisco, and I've kind of gone back and forth with this, they do win. It's going to be a little bit of a lower scoring game, 24-21 Niners is my prediction. My keys to the game. You, of course, want to get Nick Bosa signed. He's the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. He changes the outcome of games just by himself, and he's the best defensive end in the National Football League. Teams literally have to game plan against Bosa when they know that he's lining up at that edge rusher spot. And the Niners pass rusher will suffer without him. You also lose a leader. And you lose a guy who addresses the team the night before every single game. That's why he's wearing that C on his chest. For this organization, he's a leader. He leads by example. He really cares about his craft, cares about his game. That's why he's become an elite player. But players look to a guy like that to lead with his actions as well as his words. So if you don't have that presence, it's a little bit of an awkward feeling to not have one of your team captains. Key number 2, got to force Kenny Pickett to throw downfield. He showed some flashes for me during his rookie campaign while playing at Pittsburgh. And going into year 2, it's a big year for him to try to prove to this organization that he can be this team's franchise quarterback looking forward. But when it comes down to Kenny Pickett throwing the ball and pushing the ball downfield, this is an area last year in which he really struggled. Out of 33 quarterbacks with 200-plus passing attempts last year, when throwing the football 10-plus yards downfield, Kenny Pickett ranked 31st in expected points added. That's the WAR version for football. 31st in completion rate. 32nd in success rate. 33rd in first down rate, and 33rd in yards per attempt. Translation, Kenny Pickett really struggles when he has to get aggressive in pushing the ball downfield. And if you pressure Kenny Pickett, you can bait him into throwing picks, especially if he panics and tries to throw the ball downfield into the awaiting arms of a Niners defender. And that goes back to point number one, why it's important to have Nick Bosa in generating that pass rush. I also want to see San Francisco get off to a fast start. This sounds obvious, but for this football team, given how they've played to start seasons the last couple of years, and given everything that's transpired over the last few weeks and in this offseason, get off to a fast start, silence the critics. A dominant win against a team that I believe can be a playoff team in the AFC helps silence a lot of the weird drama and tension that's hovered over this team. And oftentimes for a team that does have Super Bowl aspirations, you don't deal with these weird vibes, and you don't have these weird vibes. You don't have this awkward, dark feeling hovering around your organization. From the weirdness of the Trey Lance trade to the kicker situation to Kyle Shanahan getting short and snippy with the media to this Nick Bosa contract situation. Why it's also important to get off to a fast start. If you punch Pittsburgh in the mouth to begin this football game, you could take them out of it really, really quickly in front of the home crowd. Last year in the first quarter, they ranked 20th among 32 teams with their scoring output. In the second quarter, 16 of 32 teams in their scoring distribution. Third quarter, 30th in the NFL. And in the fourth quarter, 25th in the National Football League. If you get up on Pittsburgh early, that forces Kenny Pickett to throw, and you go back to his struggles and trying to get aggressive and take the top off of the defense, that caters what San Francisco can do well, pin those ears back and get aggressive with Steve Wilks in this defensive scheme. The Steelers' 2022 offense last year, it was very mediocre. And it's not like they're going to take a monumental leap forward. Still the same offensive coordinator, a lot of the same personnel. Points total last year, 26 among 32 teams. Yards per play, 27th at 4.9. They weren't that explosive. Their success rate, 19th. Third down efficiency was pretty good, 44.9. And that is an area in which this Niners team, although they were number one in the NFL across the board, did struggle some on third downs. Red zone efficiency for Pittsburgh. How often did they put points on the board? 23rd in the NFL, just under 52%. Pittsburgh, though, does start seasons off well as far as their season openers. They also start off well when they open up a season at home, which has been a rarity over the last several years. But in their last 5 openers at Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium, Pittsburgh is 4-1, and you know that Mike Tomlin is going to have his guys ready to go. We'll be ready to go on Sunday for our Week 1 watch party. Do not miss it. Our coverage begins with an hour pregame show at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. for those of you on the West Coast. If you're on the West Coast, drink a mimosa. Wake up with us. You know the drinks will be flowing. And then once the game gets underway, live play-by-play, audience interaction, super chat giveaways, and we will be competing against Pittsburgh Steelers talk. You look at these Week 1 odds for this matchup, Niners 2.5-point favorites. The over-under for this game, very low at 41. Very enticing to try to smash that over, considering it's NFL football, not college football. If you want to bet on this game, no better place to do it than with our sportsbook partner, BetUS, all year offering a 125% deposit bonus when you enter that link down below, chatsports.com/49bet, and the promo code Niners125. More keys to get to. I want to see San Francisco's offensive line locked down on pass protection. Of course, it is of the utmost importance to protect Brock Purdy, especially in his first game action coming off that elbow injury in an actual game that matters. He did play a little bit in the last 2 preseason games. But if Brock Purdy gets hurt at any point this year, I think San Francisco is screwed. That's why I wanted to see this team hold on to Trey Lance. He has a higher ceiling. He has more potential than Sam Darnold. He's an unknown where I think we know what Sam Darnold is, and I think that Lance down the line can be a better player with experience. If Sam Darnold has to be your long-term replacement for Brock Purdy, that could spell disaster for the Niners here in 2023. And speaking of protecting Brock Purdy, keeping him clean in this pocket, the matchup to watch. TJ Watt coming off an injury-plagued season last year, but the year before that, Defensive Player of the Year with north of 20 sacks against Colton McKivitz, the new Niners right tackle who takes over for Mike McGlinchey. That is a matchup where if Colton McKivitz is stout in pass protection, the Niners can win. If TJ Watt has a day, that could be the turning point. Moving on, multifaceted offensive approach is what I'm looking forward to seeing for San Francisco. You have a bevy of weapons, a plethora of them running the football with Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, Elijah Mitchell, TDP. And then through the aerial attack, George Kittle if he plays, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings. You have all these weapons at your disposal. Keep that Steelers defense on its heels by switching it up in a variety of ways. And the 49ers offense does have the edge over this Steelers defense. Niners offense last year averaged 26.5 points per game. Steelers defense gave up 20, so what's going to give on that front? Yards per game, 377 for the Niners last year, 347 given up by Pittsburgh. Yards per play, Niners offense had the edge, nearly 6 yards per play. Pittsburgh surrendered 5.5. Third down percentage, Niners converted 45% of their third down tries. Pittsburgh gave up 39.3% of them. In the red zone, Steelers defense, not bad. 49ers offense, pretty solid as well. After the Christian McCaffrey trade, you were also looking at a Niners offense that was averaging more than 30 points per game. And then you look at the Steelers offense against the Niners defense. San Francisco's defense, once again, has the edge. Led the NFL in points per game given up at 16.3. Steelers offense only averaged a notch over 18. And you look up and down the board here, San Francisco should be able to play well and dominate this football game on both sides of the ball. I get a sneaky feeling that it's going to be close, and I think that it could be close because Pittsburgh's a feisty team. But the point here being San Francisco has the clear talent edge, and there's no way that they should lose this game, but weird things often happen in week 1 of the NFL season. Lastly, the Niners are going to have to contain George Pickens. Pickens is emerging as a really dangerous wide receiver. He was on fire in training camp. He was absolutely excellent in the preseason as well. Pretty much caught all of the targets that went his way from Kenny Pickett, and I think that he could be in store for a huge, massive sophomore campaign. And given that he's like 6'3", really big, who can go up and get it, some people think it's not even a 50-50 ball with him anymore. It's 90-10. Charvarius Ward, Ambry Thomas, Deommodore Lenoir, Samuel Womack, they could have their hands full, and the Niners don't really have DBs who can match up with the height of George Pickens. You look at what he did in his rookie year as compared to Justin Jefferson. Keep in mind that Pickens had some up and down quarterback play and was playing mostly with the rookie in Kenny Pickett. Justin Jefferson, on the other hand, was playing alongside Kirk Cousins. So JJ, to start his career as a rookie, 88 grabs, 1,400 yards, 80 yards per game, 7 touchdowns. And then you look at Pickens, 52 catches, 801 yards, 47 yards per game, 4 touchdowns for an offense that wasn't aggressive, with a quarterback who didn't really throw the ball downfield, and a quarterback who the Steelers kind of had to hide a little bit, but Pickens still as a rookie able to put up 800 yards. We go back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, too, to round things out here. This is a matchup between two blue bloods. And just count on your screen how many rings the Steelers have and how many rings the San Francisco 49ers have. The Niners have 5. The Steelers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The quest for 6 rings for San Francisco starts week 1 in Pittsburgh on the road. And the Niners have an opportunity here to squash all of the drama, all of the weird vibes, and take down a quality opponent to begin the 2023 season. If they win this game going away, a lot of that drama that we've been talking about kind of goes by the wayside. It's up to the Niners to determine that. So with that, predict the score. We asked you earlier to predict the winner. Now get a little bit more precise here. Predict the score of this week 1 game. Don't forget to tune into our watch party. Going to be an absolute blast. And subscribe to the channel because we appreciate you for watching and all of your support of the show. Some super chats coming in as we were doing our preview there. Janice Walters is a first time super chatter. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. Janice saying, I believe in Bosa signing, got San Francisco's defense on fantasy. So you obviously have some fantasy implications, and I still believe one way or the other, this deal does get done before Sunday. Janice, thank you so much for that. And T. Phillip is a first time super chatter. Any first time super chatters also get on the lunch pail today as well. So we're going to put Janice on there, and we're going to put T. Phillip on there as well. So $10 or more and first time super chatters, you go on the lunch pail here. So Janice is first up. We'll put a JW on a gold sticker. And then we have T. Phillip and Eric Knight coming in with a first time super chatter. Eric Knight, we appreciate you sending in a super sticker. So Eric Knight is going to go on the lunch pail as well. We also had a super chat come in from one of our Goldmine Hall of Famers. That's the Big Hurt. Without Bosa, Shanahan needs to keep the handcuffs off Purdy and keep the foot on the gas. We're going to have to outscore Pittsburgh. I agree with that point, and that's one of the big issues that I have in general with Kyle Shanahan. He's aggressive with his scheme and his play calling, but then at the same time, Kyle Shanahan in some of these big moments takes his foot off the gas. That's why the Falcons lost that 28-3 lead against the New England Patriots, and San Francisco lost that double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And then in the 2021 NFC Championship game, another lead going into the fourth quarter in which San Francisco lost. So I want to see Kyle Shanahan, to Big Hurt's point, get a little bit more aggressive. And that just goes for overall going for it on fourth down, getting aggressive on third down. But also, when you're on the opponent's side of the field, don't settle for a punt when there's no net average in punting it away as compared to going for it when the change in field position isn't that drastic. Don't go for a long field goal. You have this offense and your offensive scheme that's one of the best in the NFL. That's why other teams across the NFL implement your offensive philosophies. Put your foot on the damn gas pedal and slit the throat of the opponent. NTRS is a first time super chatter. How about that? We have a lot of first-time super chatters on today's show. That's awesome stuff. So we'll put NTRS on the lunch pail as well. Any first-time super chatters or super chatters $10 or more, you get a gold sticker, and we put you on the lunch pail because we're a blue-collar type of crew here on the Niners Report. And what's more blue-collar, what's more gritty than a lunch pail? This has been our preseason movement, so that's why we're doing that. If you want to get on the show, a couple of super chats have come in, a couple of questions have come in. We're going to do one segment, and then we're going to do a mailbag. So get those questions in now to start getting them in line. Hashtag 49ers, or like we said, if you send in a super chat, we'll answer your questions first. We also have a super chat menu that we're down to show you because we're always down to clown and have a good time here on the show. Anytime somebody sends in 5 Niner mug cheers. $10, you get on the lunch pail. $20, I'll crank out 20 push-ups. $50 super chat, I'll do a shotgun or a beer bong. And if anybody sends in a super chat, $100 or more, you enter the Goldmine Hall of Fame. This is the exclusive club right here on the 49ers Report. Gump Wolf, Double B Studio, Black Mask, Big Hurt, Lord Buddy Bear, Scott Turner, Adventures in EDS, Lyle, John Aiello, Danny Smith Mathis, Olive Oil, Night Shift Garage, Mike Orduna, Zico Jones, Ray Rogers, and Parrish Smith. Since the start of the preseason, all of these people have sent in single donations of 100 or more. You do that, this could be you, a member of the Goldmine Hall of Fame, a way for us to show love to some of our loyal and big super chatters. Joey is coming in with a first time super chatter. Joey, you get a gold sticker as well. Appreciate you, brother. Good stuff right there. Thank you so much for the support here on the show. Coming up next, we are going to take a look at all of the starters on this Niners team. And you can actually show that, Rolly, because so far we've been able to check a couple of boxes here. We touched on the latest with Nick Bosa. We did our 49ers Steelers preview, also took a look at the Niners injury report. We're going to break down our Niners starters here going into 2023. Then we'll open up the floor, answer all of your questions for a mailbag. So an opportunity with this next segment for you to become a smarter Niner fan and to get to know this team a little bit with the regular season coming up here just around the corner. Season debut, September 10th against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Recent commenters. Let's give you some shout-outs here before we shift gears to our second segment. Joseph, Chris, Robert, Foldy Cal, Scarecrow, all appreciate you. I'm going to give y'all a chug out of the Niner mug for some of those fives that came in, so cheers to y'all. It's the San Francisco shirt. Should be in the Niners Fanatics tab. There's my beer cheers for y'all. Lee, chug. Joseph, cheers, brother. Cheers to you. Pass, good to hear from you again. Oh! Black Mask with a $50 super chat. Now, Black Mask is always down to party. He said here on the show a couple of times, you know, when you guys wrap up, I'm going to go out, smoke a cigar, drink some whiskey. It's Labor Day. So I imagine Black Mask is having himself a day. Here's that $50 super chat. Happy Labor Day to the Bang Bang Niner gang. I just don't see Nick Bosa signing, or even if he does playing this weekend. I agree with BH. We need to control the ball on offense. Yeah, Big Hurt, you made some great points there. And Black Mask, I talked about this a little bit earlier. TJ Watt back in 2021 did not sign until 48 hours before the season opener for Pittsburgh. He then played 69 of 85 snaps, had 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery. So it is possible that Bosa can play in this game, but there's no doubt time is running out a little bit for San Francisco here. There's no question about it. Heber Williams is a first time super chatter. What is your opinion on our offensive line? I think that's our biggest weakness at this point. Outside of Trent Williams, I'm a little bit concerned. Can we pop up the Niners offensive line depth chart there, Rolly? Because I agree with you, Heber, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. If not, I certainly apologize. We'll call you H-Dub, though. On the left side of that offensive line for San Francisco, a great deal of confidence in this group. Trent Williams is still the best left tackle in the game. Aaron Banks last year only gave up 1 sack all season, and I thought he played at a legitimate Pro Bowl level. Jake Brendel stepped in for Alex Mack, and I thought he played a really good ball. He was a Pro Bowl alternate. It's the right side of the offensive line that is a question mark. And San Francisco, as far as overall talent with this offensive unit and overall offensive line spending among 32 teams in the NFL, is about middle of the pack, right in that 14, 15, 16 range. Can Spencer Burford have a year 1 to year 2 jump like Aaron Banks had? If that's the case, that goes a long way in improving this offensive line. Can Colton McKivitz be better as a pass blocker as compared to a run blocker? Like, that was the issue with McGlinchey last year. If you get a little bit of an upgrade there with Colton McKivitz with better pass protection as compared to Mike McGlinchey's pass protection, then this offensive line, which did struggle in the playoffs against solid teams and solid defensive lines with the Seahawks, Cowboys, and Philadelphia Eagles, this could be a much-needed bright spot for this team. Most importantly, you keep Brock Purdy upright. Christopher Burton, another first time super chatter. You think Ayuk will be the leading receiver on this team? I think that for the second consecutive year, Brandon Ayuk will be the leading wide receiver on this football team. I think that he's the number 1 wide receiver on this team. Route running, footwork, being a weapon from goal line to goal line, picking up yards after the catch, great hands. I think that Deebo Samuel is terrific. He was an all-pro in 2021, but I look at him as more of a Swiss Army knife and a weapon who can run it. Doesn't have the route tree that Deebo has, the hands or the footwork. That's why I'd rather go Ayuk over Deebo as a pure wide receiver. As a pure weapon, you'd probably go Deebo, and I think that Deebo is going to return to that 2021 form because throughout training camp and in the preseason, he's looked absolutely awesome. So Black Mask, we appreciate you. $50 super chat. Going to take down a beer bong for that. Happy Labor Day to everybody out there. Hope you're all having fun. And, of course, thanks for kicking it with us here live on the 49ers Report.
Chug, 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 chug.
Let's go.
Chase, you might be one of the only people I know that can shotgun a beer quicker than doing a beer bong.
Yeah, I wasn't really going for speed there. I was just kind of going for the efficiency.
I still feel like that's true, though, you know?
I think I might shotgun a beer faster than a beer bong now that I think about it. Yeah. I don't know. You guys let me know. You've seen me do plenty of both. All right, we're up to $83 in Super Chats. So we're 17 away from 100. Big Bo chiming in with the $5 donation. That gets us up to $88 in Super Chats. Big Bo, appreciate this one coming in. Is Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat if Trey performs in Dallas and Purdy doesn't? Yeah, that could be Kyle Shanahan's downfall. I mean, can you imagine they traded Trey Lance away for a 4th-round pick to go all in on Brock Purdy because they didn't believe that Trey Lance was going to be a good player, because you don't trade away a player to a division rival if you think that he's going to be a stud. And then on top of that, Purdy is a flake. Trey at some point takes over for Dak and ends up being a superstar. That could be the downfall of the Shanahan-Lynch regime, and that's how Shanahan could have egg on his face. So we're not talking about the hot seat now, and I don't think that Trey Lance is going to play this year. I think it's going to be Dak Prescott's job, and if he plays well this year, I don't think Dallas is going to move off Dak Prescott next year either. But if at some point down the road, Trey turns into a top 5, top 10 quarterback for Dallas, and San Francisco is still looking for a franchise guy, that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is not a good look. 300 people watching live, 221 likes. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video if you're enjoying today's show. Segment number 2 coming your way as we break down all of the Niners starters right now. So by watching and tuning into today's San Francisco 49ers Report, you're going to get the opportunity to get to know this team a little bit better and become a smarter Niner fan, because we're going to take a look at all of the starters for San Francisco going into the 2023 season. And we start off at the quarterback position. Of course, Brock Purdy, he's come off that elbow surgery. He's progressed really well in his rehab, well ahead of schedule. I know at the time of that operation back in March, I had a lot of questions about whether or not he was going to be on the field week 1 against Pittsburgh. He is. And that's a credit to him and how he attacked this rehab. And it's also a credit to him with how he played last year as Mr. Irrelevant and taking this job away from Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, and becoming this team's guy. Because in trading away Trey Lance, San Francisco is going all in on Purdy, who went undefeated in his starts up until the NFC Championship game and was really impressive with his diagnosing skills, his precision and accuracy with the football, running this system to a degree that really did please Kyle Shanahan, which has allowed Shanahan to tab Purdy as this team's guy. 67% on his completion percentage last year, nearly 1,900 yards, made quality decisions with the football, oftentimes keeping it out of harm's way, 16 touchdowns, 3 picks, and a quarterback rating of 111.4. I'm excited to see if Purdy can take that year 1 to year 2 jump and get better, or on the contrasting point of view of that point, our defense is going to be able to figure him out. It's going to be a monster season for Purdy, and if he does get better, the ceiling of this offense is unlimited. Now to the running back spot. Christian McCaffrey last year, after that midseason trade to San Francisco, was terrific. And after he became this team's starter at the running back spot, this offense was able to take another leap. They averaged more than 30 points per game with Christian McCaffrey as a starter in 11 games after that acquisition. And you look at what he did running the football but also receiving it. I thought he should have been more in the conversation of being the NFL MVP just because of how important of a role he played for this Niners offense. He ran it 159 times for 746 yards, averaged nearly 5 yards per carry with 6 touchdowns, along at 38, but also his impact as a wide receiver was impressive, both in the slot, but also out of the backfield. And I can't wait to see what more wrinkles Kyle Shanahan has with McCaffrey this year, and hopefully he can catch the football a little bit more as a slot to conserve his body a little bit. 52 catches, 464 yards. So in 11 games, he combined for more than 1,100 yards of total offense. If he stays healthy this year, what is he going to be able to do in 2023? I can't wait to see it. A reminder, programming alert. Make sure you subscribe and join us for our Niners-Steelers watch party. Our coverage begins on Sunday as the Niners take the road in Pittsburgh. 12 o'clock Eastern is when our live stream starts. That's an hour pregame show. 9 a.m. for those of you on the West Coast. We're approaching 100,000 subscribers. Help us get there and get that plaque from YouTube by hitting that sub button right now. From quarterback and running back to wide receiver, your starters, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and Jawan Jennings. I think that Ayuk has emerged as this team's #1 pass catcher. I think that Deebo is still one of the best weapons and Swiss Army knives in the NFL. And Jawan Jennings, he's become Mr. Reliable for this offense. Outside of those guys, you have Ray McLeod, whose status for Sunday is unknown because of that wrist surgery. Ronnie Bell able to make this team, looking as though he's going to be a steal as a former 7th-round pick. Danny Gray still banged up too. But for Ayuk and Deebo, they can really insert themselves as one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. And a lot of that leans on Deebo becoming the player in 2023 that he was in 2021 as compared to the guy that he was last year, when he admitted the contract situation did play a role in him being banged up, him getting injured, and the production kind of falling off a cliff. Receptions went down by 21. Receiving yards went down by more than half. Average yards per catch went down by 7 yards. Rushing yards went down by 133 yards, and his total touchdowns went down from 14 to 5. If you get the 2021 Deebo in 2023, it just makes this offense a lot more unpredictable and a lot more versatile. And for Ayuk, you're not looking at him trying to bounce back. You're looking for his continued ascent, because every year that he's been in the league, we've seen a player get better and better and better and really progress into a guy who I believe is on the cusp of being a top 10 wideout in this league. As for George Kittle, his status for Sunday's game as of Monday is unknown. He's been dealing with an adductor injury for the last couple of weeks, and Shanahan said at the end of last week, this is an injury that hasn't gone away and lingered, and it seems as though Kittle has one of these soft tissue injuries every year. Once he gets over that, seems as though he's going to be fine. The conversation for Kittle, can he continue the revitalization that we saw in really the back half of last year when he started to link up with Brock Purdy and play some excellent football? The last 4 weeks of the year, he had 7 touchdowns, and that connection with Purdy was really special, and it was his largest touchdown output in a really long time, and his best season since the 2019 campaign when he had 85 grabs for more than 1,000 yards. He was a first-team All-Pro that year. That's what allowed Kittle to land that lofty contract extension, which at the time made him the highest-paid tight end in the history of football. 2020, injury-plagued year, only played 8 games, came back in 2021, thought he played really, really well. And then in 2022, the yards were down, but he just looked to have that spark back in his legs. The offensive line, your starters, Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and Colton McKivitz. You don't have a traditional swing tackle for this year's team, which is a little bit of a concern. Jalen Moore can really only play left tackle. Matt Pryor can really only play right tackle. The big question marks along this offensive line, Spencer Burford and Colton McKivitz. If they have seasons in which they insert themselves as high-end quality starters, it's going to allow this offense to continue the pace that we saw last year, in which after the Christian McCaffrey trade, they averaged more than 30 points per game. If they can't run block and they can't pass protect, that could be the one thing that curtails the Niners' success here this upcoming season. So I want you to grade the Niners roster for me before we shift gears to the defensive side of the football. 1 to 100. How good do you think this Niners team is from top to bottom when When you combine offense, defense, special teams, let me know. And if you want to get geared up for the regular season and support the show, our San Francisco shirts are available using that link down below, chatsports.com/SF, available in red as well as black. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. For those of you who watch the watch parties, you know the San Francisco chant is certainly a staple of those. And if you want to support the squad, you can do that as well. Now we move over to the defensive line. You might as well put an asterisk next to Nick Bosa because of his contractual status being unknown as of this recording on Monday. If he's on the field, the Niners defense takes a massive leap forward because he's the best pure edge rusher in the game. If he's not on the field, you're looking at Drake Jackson and Cleveland Ferrell starting with Kerry Hyder Jr. and Alex Barrett as your backups. If you don't have Bosa on the field for Sunday's game, it's a good pickup in free agency to bring in a guy like Javon Hargrave, who had double-digit sacks last year for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that Eric Armstead is going to have a rebound season as far as sack numbers goes. For the real ones out there, they know that Eric Armstead is a really good player just by the impact that he has. The sack numbers haven't been there, but I think because this Niners defensive line is so stacked when they do have Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead could have a big sack production season. I think the Niners have the best linebacking core in the NFL. It's also one that has become extremely deep after the drafting in the late rounds of D. Winters and Jalen Graham. Their sideline-to-sideline speed is excellent. Fred Warner, best off-ball linebacker in the game. It's not even close. And Dre Greenlaw played at an all-pro level last year. I'm interested to see who the third starting linebacker is going to be. Oren Burks is more of a special teamer, and he's been dealing with that PCL injury. Is it going to be Flanagan Fowles? Is it going to be Jalen Graham, D. Winters? We'll see what Steve Wilks decides to do. Now, I want to take a look at the cornerbacks here. Charvarius Ward and Ambry Thomas, I expect to be the starting outside corners for San Francisco. And I think that because of the struggles of Isaiah Oliver, Steve Wilks is going to go Diamador Lenore on the inside slot and bump out Ambry Thomas to the outside. Oftentimes, Thomas has been there to make a play. He's had sticky coverage. He hasn't been able to finish some of these plays. Hopefully, going into year 3, he can start to improve on some of those deficiencies. I have confidence in Mooney, Ward, and Diamador Lenore. He played really well down the stretch and in the playoffs last year. Isaiah Oliver has to be better. Samuel Womack, I really like his footwork and his ball skills. To safety now, Talanoa Hufanga and Deshaun Gibson are going to be your starters, but I wouldn't be surprised if the rookie third-round pick out of Penn State, Jair Brown, gets some tick from Steve Wilks. He's certainly capable to play at all 3 levels, especially if the Niners want to go heavy nickel. I think that Brown is capable there. He did it at Penn State. He can do it at the NFL level. Deshaun Gibson has been out of practice the last few practices because of some nicks and bruises, but did say he was going to return this week. And then another big question mark for San Francisco is at that kicker spot. Jake Moody is progressing well. If he's okay, he will be this team's kicker. If not, it's going to be Matthew Wright, who is officially signed to the practice squad on Sunday. Mitch Wishnowsky, the punter, Tabor Pepper, the long snapper, and those right there are your 49ers starters going into the 2023 season. You got to know the team, and our job is to inform you. Hopefully, we're able to do that with today's show. Let's round out this segment with this. How many games do you think San Francisco is going to win in 2023? I think there's somewhere between that 11 and 13 win range. You let me know down in the chat right now. Another super chat coming in during that segment from Jitty. And is this paying homage to Breaking Bad? Is that Walter White there on the profile picture?
I mean, it's not Walter White.
Is it not?
But it might be a skit version of him. I don't know.
It's tough to tell. It's a little bit small from my view.
It's not the actual Walter White.
Okay.
But it could be.
Jitty, do you look like Walter White? And is that you serving as Walter White for a Halloween costume? If so, looks pretty damn legit. We certainly appreciate that. That gets us up to $93 in Super Chats. We certainly appreciate all of the donations that come in. And for Big Bo and Jitty, here's a Niner mug cheers on our Super Chat menu. Like I said, if you want to support the show, send in a Super Chat donation $5 Niner mug cheers, $10 your initials on the lunch pail. If you're a first-time Super Chatter, you also go on the lunch pail. We've been handing out a lot of gold stickers today. $20, I'll do 20 push-ups, $50 for a shotgun or beer bong, and if anybody out there sends in $100, you are officially a member of the Goldmine Hall of Fame, our exclusive club of the biggest Super Chats that have come in since the start of the preseason. All right, lastly on the live show today, we're going to do a mailbag where we take all of your questions. So get those questions in, hashtag 49ers or Super Chat.
I'm going to need you guys to send in more questions. We want to have the best mailbag possible for you guys so Chase can answer the most important, pressing questions for San Francisco, but I'm just not seeing enough questions, so we're going to need some more in there.
You heard it from Rolly. We'd be disappointed if the faithful doesn't chime in with some questions here. I know we got some a little bit earlier. We had some Super Chats, but let's get some more questions in here. John Wallace thinks the Niners go 12-5 or 13-4, leaning more toward 12-5. Laura is saying the Niners win 10 games. Joseph said 12-5. Dave Zobel, Chase, do you really think we can go with Moody at kicker? They will go Jake Moody at kicker. There's no other option unless it's Matthew Wright, who they elevate to the practice squad if Moody cannot go. But if Moody is good to go, they're putting confidence in him to be the guy. And yes, Dave, I am very, very worried about that. Denise said, Niners got it. Logan coming in with the question. Lore coming in with the question. Is Elijah Mitchell healthy? From Rod G.
It's a great question.
It's a great question. But if you have a great question, use hashtag 49ers. Therefore, we can feature it on our mailbag. Michael Keller saying the Niners have a top 5 offense. I agree. Wet Noodle thinks the Niners will win 10 games. Killahunna Ray, 13-4. Kane Crouch said 17-0. Denise, I said 13-4 last year, so I say it again. All right, Denise, I see you. Hitting the nail on the head. Who's going to get us to $100 in Super Chats? We're at 94 officially right now. Who's going to get us to 100? Who's going to get us to 100? I challenge you out there. All right, we round out with our Niners mailbag. Let's start to open up the floor and take your questions right now. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for watching today's show. What we're going to get into today, open up the floor to hear from all of our loyal subscribers because a lot of you have questions, and we want to relay those questions to the audience, but also pass along your analysis for this team heading into Week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shane AZ, he's first up. Pay Bosa for the love of God. Now, keep in mind, we're recording this segment during our live show on Tuesday. We'll also be live again on Thursday as well. So subscribe, turn on those notifications. But Shane, he feels the same way that a lot of Niner fans feel. Pay Bosa for the love of God. And what I don't understand, San Francisco has said earlier this offseason, Nick Bosa is budgeted for. Well, if he's budgeted for, what is the holdup? Why are we a few days away from the season opener and this Bosa contract holdout has still been lingering? Don't understand it. Pay the man. He deserves it. He's worth it. And your team ain't the same without Nick Bosa. I'll tell you that. Janice Walters with a $2 Super Chat. She was a first-time Super Chatter during our show. We appreciate that. I believe that Nick Bosa will get signed. She also has San Francisco's defense with their fantasy football team. Those of you who have the Niners defense on their fantasy squads, I'm sure that you just have the notifications on your phone nonstop. Is Nick Bosa signed yet? Has Nick Bosa signed that deal? Has he put pen to paper? Because, again, this Niners defense gets a massive lift when Bosa's on the field. He's the best defensive end in the game. He had 18.5 sacks last year. He was the Defensive Player of the Year. And for him to not be on this field potentially for the Niners against Pittsburgh, that would be a massive loss because I do think that Pittsburgh is a feisty Week 1 team. Odd things often happen Week 1 to start the NFL season. And Kenny Pickett really struggles throwing the ball downfield. We broke that down in our Niners-Steelers preview. Be sure to check that out. And if you get pressure on Kenny Pickett, he's simply not the same quarterback. Big Hurt with the $5 donation. without Nick Bosa, Kyle Shanahan needs to keep the handcuffs off of Brock Purdy and keep the foot on the gas. We are going to have to outscore Pittsburgh. And going back to me saying that weird things can happen week one, sometimes an offense that makes some alterations and makes some changes and makes some adjustments throughout the offseason, they could go crazy week one because you're trying to prepare for an offense that you don't know what they're going to do. And with Steve Wilks, he's also implementing some new elements to his scheme where San Francisco's defense might not be the same unit week one that they are in week 18 in the regular season finale. And it could end up being a little bit of a shootout. Now, I will say that the odds makers believe that this game is going to be a low-scoring game because the over-under for this game has been hovering between 39.5 to 41 to 42. So the odds makers do believe it's going to be more of a defensive brawl. So that's something to kind of keep in mind here. But Big Hurt, I think that not just with this game, but just in general, I want to see Kyle Shanahan get a lot more aggressive this year. I think that's one thing that's held him back, and that's why partially Atlanta lost that Super Bowl to New England after sporting that 28-3 lead. That's why San Francisco lost that double-digit lead going into the Super Bowl in 2019 against Kansas City. That's why in 2021, partially San Francisco lost after going up 17-7 into the fourth quarter against the Rams in that NFC Championship game. Keep your foot on the gas, then put your foot on the opposition's throat, go for the kill shot, and do not let up. I'd love to see that from San Francisco against Pittsburgh and make a statement with this game to get rid of all of that drama throughout this offseason, which has lingered into training camp and the preseason. Who you got for this matchup? SF for the Niners, PIT for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who are you rolling with? I'm going Niners. They win by 3 in a game that comes down to the wire. 24-21, my final score. Heber Williams with the 5. What is your opinion on our offensive line? I think that's our biggest weakness at this point. Outside of Trent Williams, I am a little bit concerned. So I'm not concerned about Trent Williams, still the best left tackle in the game, even though he's a little bit longer in the tooth and his career is starting to wind down to a certain degree. He's still really dominant as the anchor on this offensive line. I'm also not concerned about Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks last year gave up 1 sack and made some monumental leaps from year 1 to year 2 after being that second-round pick out of Notre Dame in 2021 when he barely played. I had big questions about Jake Brendel going into last year, but he was actually statistically a very good center, very serviceable, and was a Pro Bowl alternate in 2022. The big questions, though, to your point, Spencer Burford going into year 2, he's added some weight. He needed to do that because while he played 16 games last year as a starter, as a rookie, that's impressive, he got pushed around a little bit. And the big unknown, Colton McKivitz. We're going to find out how good Colton McKivitz is because he's going to be matching up one-on-one against TJ Watt in a marquee matchup for this Week 1 game. Christian Burton, you think Ayuk will be the leading receiver this year? Brandon Ayuk was the leading receiver last year, and I think he's going to be the leading receiver this year as well. Every year that Ayuk's been in the league, 3 years going into year 4 this year, he's been able to improve on what he did the previous season, and no better campaign than what he did in 2022. The route running, the footwork, crossing up DBs like Allen Iverson back in the day. Like, he was so special, and to really have the growth that we've seen taking place here, I'm always a big fan because it's obviously important to a football organization of a guy who takes his craft seriously, but then that is able to get displayed by some of the improvements that he makes. 78 catches, more than 1,000 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. I think that he ups that production if he stays healthy to like 85, 90 catches for 1,100, 1,200 yards, double-digit touchdowns. Big Bo, $5 super chat coming in. Is Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat if Trey performs well in Dallas and Purdy does not? Yes, I think that could be the big egg-on-the-face move down the road. I don't think it's going to happen this year because I think Dak Prescott is going to be Dallas' starter, barring some type of disaster that happens for the Cowboys. But let's say down the road, 2 to 5 years from now, to throw out a loose timeline, Trey Lance becomes a top 5, top 10 quarterback for arguably your biggest rival in the NFC. And then Brock Purdy proves to be Mr. Irrelevant and is more of a backup as compared to being the franchise guy. And Trey Lance ends up being the franchise guy for Dallas, and you're still looking for your franchise quarterback, that could be the downfall of the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch regime, because in trading away Trey Lance to Dallas for a 4th-round pick, you make that move because you're not confident that he's going to be an upper echelon quarterback in this league. You make that move thinking that by getting a 4th-round pick back, that's good value for a guy who you moved 3 first-round picks for to move up to take at number 3. You're banking on him not being good. If he becomes great, that's a problem for your football team. You look at these week 1 odds, Niners, Steelers, San Francisco 2.5-point favorites. The over-under for this game, very low, as I said a little bit earlier, at 41. If you want to lay those bets down for week 1, no better place to do it than with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. And they have the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer, a 125% deposit bonus. Chatsports.com/49bet. You enter that link, and then the promo code Niners125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. Big hurt with the $7 donation here. That gets us past $100 on our live show. If you think that Armstead is overrated, you are not watching closely. With Hargrave on the line now, Armstead will remind people the player that he is. I agree. Casuals think that Eric Armstead is a bad football player. The real ones know that when he's on the field, this defense is better. When he's on the field, he demands double teams. When he's on this field, he makes an impact against the run and against the pass. He might not be a guy who's going to produce massive sack numbers, but he is a game changer along that defensive line. And now that he's playing alongside Javon Hargrave, and hopefully soon, Nick Bosa, and if Drake Jackson has a big year too, who can you double team on this defensive front? It's going to be difficult to double team anybody. And if a guy is double teamed, it opens up opportunities for other people. Eric Armstead, he's been a captain for this team. He's been a leader for this team. Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. He's important to what the Niners do on the defensive side of the ball. Black Mask with another donation as well. Appreciate you, Brody. To be honest, I think Nick holds all the cards, but also he's playing a game he is wanting Chris Jones to sign before he does, in my opinion. That makes sense and that adds up because Chris Jones right now, in my opinion, is better than Aaron Donald. He played better than Aaron Donald last year and was more available than Aaron Donald. He's also younger than Aaron Donald. So if Chris Jones is looking at this saying, I'm better than Aaron Donald right now, I should be making more money than Aaron Donald. We also have won a couple of Super Bowls. With me anchoring that defensive line, I want more than Donald, $31.5 million. I'm going to hold out until I get that. Well, if Nick Bosa also wants to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL, beating Aaron Donald's number of $31.6 million per year is a number to beat. But what if Bosa has been holding out because that's the title that he wants? He signs, and then Chris Jones gets paid more. Nick Bosa in his camp could be like, man, we could have held out and got more money than Chris Jones. It could add up. It could. Evan Hinders with this one. I think the Niners should use Ronnie Bell like Devin Hester. I'll tell you this, with Ray McCloud expected to miss week 1 because of that wrist surgery, I think that Ronnie Bell will be this team's punt and kick returner. And he doesn't have the speed, the explosiveness of Devin Hester. I think we saw that with his inability to really beat guys vertically when he played wide receiver in the preseason. Is he a guy who can pick up yards after the catch, can break tackles like a Deebo Samuel and be used in that way, who has no fear going over the middle while also being a contributor as a return man? I do think he has that element to his game. Past. What's good, Chase? Past. Appreciate you for chiming in. I can't wait to see how Javon Hargrave helps boost this defense even more. Let's go. Keep up the great work. Real one at Chat Sports. We appreciate you. We're not worthy, but thank you so much for the support. Javon Hargrave is going to have a foundational impact on this defense. The guy had double-digit sacks last year at defensive tackle. You don't often see that type of sack production from a guy who plays DT and nose tackle. And he is really, the last 3 years, rounded into his prime where he's made a lot of leaps. And he was good with Pittsburgh before he signed that deal with Philadelphia. But last year, no season better than what he did a year ago. And in this scheme that wants to see defensive linemen get aggressive, with Steve Wilks' defense that I think is going to blitz a little bit more and playing with the members on this defensive line. Hargrave, he'll have his fingerprints on the game for sure. Logan, do you think that Ambry Thomas is starting at that second cornerback spot on Sunday against Pittsburgh? I do think that he's going to start outside corner opposite of Charvarius Ward. I think Diamador Lenore will play on the inside, and that's going to be the cornerback rotation for San Francisco. The average Niner fan, I am super confused. I thought Nick Bosa was on the final year of his rookie contract. What happened to that? He is on the final year of his rookie contract. That's why it's called a holdout. He is under contract this year, just under $18 million. That was given to him, and it's fully guaranteed because San Francisco exercised his fifth-year option. But beyond this year, he isn't owed any money, and he has no financial stability beyond 2023. That's why he wants this deal, so that he gets that guaranteed money for after this year. Him signing his contract doesn't affect the Niners right now. They have him budgeted for, to use their words, this year, $17.8 million. That's the price tag for exercising his fifth-year option as a first-round pick given his draft slot. But beyond this year, no money guaranteed for Nick Bosa, and that's why he's holding out. Predict the score for Sunday's game. Niners, Steelers, who do you like, and what's the score? Let us know down in the comments section. As you venture down there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If I didn't answer your question on this mailbag, you can give me a follow, Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Hit me up on social media. Always enjoyed chopping it up with the faithful. And once again, thanks to all of you for showing love and watching today's show. All right, a lot of good questions that came in there. That's why we ask you to use hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat to get those questions answered, because it's always great to chop it up with everybody. We did get past $100 in super chats. Big Hurt, Black Mask getting us over the top. We'll enter all of those gold stickers on the lunch pail for all of the first-time super chatters, and the super chats $10 or more, as we're all caught up on that front as well. And here is our super chat menu. If you want to have a 49ers Report happy hour, we're down to hang out for a bit on this Labor Day. $5 Niner mug cheers, $10 you sign the lunch pail, $20 that's 20 push-ups, $50 for a shotgunner beer bong, $100 gets you into the Gold Mine Hall of Fame. By the way, before we went live today, I looked at the weather in Pittsburgh. I was hoping and praying there wasn't going to be a repeat of the slop fest and the monsoon that we saw last year. In a city that doesn't always have great weather, Sunday's forecast in Pittsburgh, beautiful. High of 76, low of 62, no rain in the forecast. That's great news. Thank you, football gods. Daniel Johnson, a $20 super chat. Next year begins the quest for 7. So you're saying the Niners are going to get that 6th championship this year. I love it, Daniel Johnson. I love it. And if the Niners win a Super Bowl this year, I can safely say that we might be live all throughout the night. Because why wouldn't we party all throughout the night? $20 super chat equals 20 push-ups. I'm going to do those right now. Rolly's going to give you all shout-outs. DJ, appreciate you, my guy.
Give me those. I mean, Chase's push-up form is just immaculate, too, I got to add. Chase absolutely balling out. We got Coffee saying 35-0 Niners. Forever blessed. What's up, Niner fam? Aaron Jimenez says we need more Super Bowl. Hey, man, you get that Super Bowl this year, you get that 7th spot. Guess what? You now are tied with the Patriots and the Steelers for 6. Those are probably the 3 best franchises in football. Maybe the 49ers can disregard maybe the Cowboys. You can consider them a little bit.
Yeah. All right, so let's do this. 2-minute super chat shot clock. If you want us to stay live, send in a super chat. If not, we'll call it a day, and we'll be live once again, barring any breaking news, for Thursday's show, in which I imagine we might go head-to-head again with Pittsburgh Steelers talk. For those of you who watched our live show last week, it got crazy. We got up to $750 in super chats to beat the Steelers channel at $520. So if we go head-to-head once again, Thursday might get crazy. But if you want to send in a super chat to extend the show, The 2-minute Super Chat shot clock is on right now. Send in a donation, and you're guaranteed to get featured here on the show, and we'll answer your questions here. And you, of course, see our Super Chat menu to the right as well.
Chase, I know you've talked a lot about Nick Bosa today, but if you had to give your prediction on what day he signs, if it is this week, what is that prediction?
Thursday or Friday is my prediction.
The 48, 72 hours.
48, 72 hours.
I saw someone say on Wednesday. That wouldn't surprise me. A little midday news dump.
Midday news dump.
Midweek.
So I thought maybe it was going to be like a Friday news dump before Labor Day. It doesn't make sense to do it now because it's the Labor Day holiday. Any day is good at this point, like any day it has to happen.
Ideally, it would happen Thursday.
Yes.
They go live and
That'd be
party,
lit.
and then Nick Bosa I say probably Thursday's the cutoff. Like if he signs Friday, I know Watt did it in 48 hours, but that's a tough ask.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like he always keeps himself in really good shape, but I just worry about the fast twitch physical element where, you try to get off the line fast enough or not doing a lot of football stuff and you hurt your groin. That can easily happen to anybody regardless of how good a shape you're in. All right, 15 seconds left on our Super Chat shot clock. If you want to extend the show, send in a Super Chat. If not, we out of here. We'll enjoy our Labor Day nights, and you enjoy your Labor Day evenings as well. So we'll give you about a 20-second delay once the 2-minute Super Chat shot clock hits. It just did. So we'll give you about a 20-second delay here because I know a lot of you like to watch the show on delay. Andrew Wilson, Deaderhead, BV50, The Average Niner Fan, Black Mask, William, Francisco, Kovev, all in the chat. The Average Niner Fan said, someone please donate. $130 in Super Chats. It's been a good day today, for sure. It's been an awesome day. All right, we're coming down the wire to our 20-second delay. I'm just going to make sure I got all of our first-time Super Chatters to go on the lunch pail here. Christian Burton, Heber Williams. Let's see. We already got Black Mask, NTRS, Eric Knight, T. Phillip, and Janice. Yeah, we're all set. All right, good stuff. So we'll be live once again on Thursday. Of course, if Nick Bosa does sign that contract extension, we'll go live whatever day that happens. And we'll guarantee you that. In the meantime, still coverage coming your way every single day in the lead up to this game as Christian and I'm Your Papi Chulo come in with some Super Chats. Christian Burton with the $1, and then I'm Your Papi Chulo with the $5 Super Chat. Papi Chulo is a first time Super Chatter. We'll go PC to go on the lunch pail here. PC. And this is what we'll do now. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt because you may have been watching on delay to get that Super Chat in time. We're going to go 1 minute Super Chat shot clock now. Instead of 2 minutes, we're going to go 1 minute Super Chat shot clock. So if you want to extend the show for a Niners Report happy hour, got to send in a Super Chat within a minute. And if anybody sends in a 50, doing a beer bong here on the show. Doing a beer bong here on the show. It's right here. If anybody sends in a 50. The Gambler fire emojis. Hey, anytime we continue to chop it up with the faithful, fire emojis is a good way to really define that. The Average Niner Fan said, we got this, faithful. Gerald, sharing the frustration of a lot of people out there. Let's get the deal done and over with, plain and simple. Totally agree. You think I don't want this deal done? I want this deal done because it improves the Niners' chances of winning a Super Bowl. It'd be a great live show, and I think that the Niners badly need some good vibes, and they need some good news. Herb Coverland, a $2 Super Chat. Christian Burton with another $5. Here we go. Are we getting crazy? Herb Coverland said, yeah, buddy, here from Bend, Oregon. Let's go Niners. Let's go Niners. Let's go Niners. Christian Burton with the $5. Let's keep it going. I like the profile picture. Dilly dilly. That's pretty funny stuff right there. Let's keep it going. All right. So those super chats came in within that minute. Now we're going back to our 1 minute super chat shot clock. In the meantime, if you have any questions, get them in the chat. Get them in the chat. Michael Keller, Herb, Kovev, average Niner fan. A lot of the recent commenters here. If you're just tuning in, we did 3 segments today. Gump Wolf, what's the total super chats at? We're at 143, Gump Wolf, a.k.a. one of the first members of the Gold Mine Hall of Fame. We're at 143 right now. 143. Lore, I think we need to address offensive line. Right now, they seem to be set, with the starters being Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Colton McKivitz, backup tackles, Matthew Pryor, and Jalen Moore. Then you have John Feliciano, who can kind of play center and both guard spots, and then Nick Sakel, who they drafted 2 years ago. Those are the guys that they're going with as of right now. But if an injury happens, they could be in the danger zone. They could be in the danger zone. All right. 1 minute, back on the clock here. President Nitty saying Kenny Pickett over Brock Purdy. I guess we'll see what happens for this game on Sunday. If Purdy outplays Kenny Pickett, it'll be Purdy over Kenny. If Kenny outplays Purdy, it'll be Kenny over Purdy. Denise, I think Ronnie Bell's going to do some damage too. I like him. And it really comes down to this as far as his year 1 role goes. Does Kyle Shanahan have trust in him to actually put him out there for meaningful snaps? Oh! Gump Wolf, a $50 super chat. San Francisco. That gets us to 193. Kovev wants the beer bong. President Nitty said, dang. Kovev said, chug, chug, chug that beer. Yeah, I'm going to fill up the beer bong here. Rolly, I actually have to use the bathroom. So if you want to pop yourself up. Oh! Poppy Chulo was the first-time super chatter. Now he follows up the first time by being a long time. $50 super chat. Let's have a pre-celebration in the hopes that Bosa signs that extension and chug it. How cool would it be to have the Bosa brothers team up? Could that be a possibility at some point? Lastly, do you see us trading for an offensive lineman? All right, so let's answer that question here. Pre-celebration in the hopes that Bosa signs, that'd be fabulous. I do not envision a scenario in which Bosa Nick and Bosa Joey are going to be on the field at the same time, just because it's going to be really difficult to pay 2 edge rushers almost $30 million. I think Bosa's going to be over 30, and then Joey is just under 30. That's just a lot of money to allocate to only 2 positions. So that's difficult to do. I don't see that happening. A trade for an offensive lineman. Let's talk about that now. San Francisco has made deadline moves before in each of the last couple of seasons. Jordan Willis, Charles Omenihu, Christian McCaffrey. If there's a need, knowing that they are a competitive team, they address it. And I think that San Francisco will address a need if offensive line is that need going into the deadline, just not immediately. That's kind of the timeline of when that would take place. All right, Roland's going to pop himself on camera. I'm going to fill up my beer bong. I ought to use the bathroom as well because I took down a beer bong a little bit earlier, and I've been drinking a shit ton of water today after going on a bender in Charlotte this weekend. So Rolly will pop himself up. I'll go fill up the beer bong. I'll come back, and then we'll get that going. With those 250s that came in, we'll celebrate here in a moment.
Yeah, so when Chase gets back, we're going to do a beer bong race. So I can help Chase out a little bit here. The 250s both equal beer bong. So I'll be doing a Merbonga. Chase will be doing his beer bong when he gets back. So, hey, if you want to keep the party going on this nice little Monday evening Labor Day action, Keep on super chatting. The Gambler is saying anybody $100. I'm never going to say no, but hey, you do a $100 super chat, you can get another beer bong race as well. The Gambler's really trying to spam that in there. Denise says, wait, let me go grab my drink. That's because that is what we are about here at the Niners Report. We're always drinking. We're always partying. The faithful, everyone's coming together and having a good time. 243 in super. Can we get to 300 today? Not that far away. About 56 to go. The Gambler says if I had it, I would. Well, guess what, The Gambler? You're a real one for just being in the chat, interacting with us. Appreciate you being here, having a good time. President Nitty, congrats for your channel, fellas. Thank you, President Nitty. It's very nice. The average 49ers fan, same thing goes for you that I just said, The Gambler. You guys are real ones, and you guys are awesome for just being here, watching the stream, liking the video, commenting, I should say, in the chat. So appreciate you guys very, very much. Let's get a confidence level, though. How are you guys feeling going into week 1 against Pittsburgh? I know Chase has mentioned it throughout the show that the over-under is 41. The Niners are favored by a couple and a half points. But I am a big fan of the over 41 points. Personally, I was telling Chase this earlier. Whenever you see an over-under in the NFL that low, I feel inclined to take the over just off ethics, right? Like, if you're a gambling man, you see a number that low, you just have to root for points. And if I go back to 2019, one of the lowest over-unders I've ever seen in NFL history, Ravens-Dolphins, 2019, week 1, the over-under was 37.5. What happened? Lamar Jackson and the Ravens scored 30, or I think 43 points themselves. I think the over is going to hit. Chase said 24-21 San Francisco. I like that number a lot. I can definitely see that being the final score on Sunday afternoon.
All right, let's fill this piece up.
I also said we could do a race here.
Oh yeah, that's fine with me. Got to fill it up. And then Rolly will come on. Gump Wolf with another 10. Yes, we'll put your mom on the lunch pail, and then we'll pop up that super chat. Rolly's just coming over to hang out on camera here for a sec. All right. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for supporting the show. We appreciate you on this Labor Day for tuning in. Let's go, San Francisco. The party's going to get real on Sunday as well. That is for sure. Gump Wolf, now that Rolly's back in the saddle, we'll get that super chat up. I like the idea, Gump Wolf. I like the idea. Hey, Chase, how about we put my mom's initials on the lunch pail? LT lost her over 2 years ago to dementia. So sorry to hear about that. I know we put your pops on here back a couple of weeks ago. So glad to put your mom and your dad on here. LT, gold sticker for Gump Wolf's mom. Sorry to hear about your loss. Hopefully your mom, my mom in heaven, they're interacted and they're like, wait, so your son knows my son? And they came together because of the 49ers. How cool would that be? Maybe sipping a glass of wine up there. Gump Wolf, we appreciate you. The Gambler, can I get a shout out on my YouTube? The Gambler. Check The Gambler out. We got you, homie. All right, should we sign off? Y for yes, N for no. We're at 253 in Super Chats. Should we sign off? Y for yes, N for no. The average Niner fan, no. Maximo, no. Ernesto, Kovev, no. Papi Chulo said no. Hugo said no. Gump Wolf said no. All right, this is what we'll do then. Another minute shot clock here. Another minute shot clock. La Whole Enchilada said hell no. The Gambler said thanks, Chad. See, I give your YouTube name a shout out, but then you call me Chad. I'm not a Chad. I'm a Chase. It's all good. I'm just messing with you.
Sneaky look like a Chad.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
I don't think
Isn't like Chad like a Karen?
Yeah. Well, no, Chad's more of like a frat boy.
Okay. I was not in a frat in college.
But I could see you being a Chad.
Rolly, I think you just bodied me, man.
I don't want to be mean, but like if you had a lacrosse helmet on with a nice little pole in your hands, like it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. What do you think?
But good thing we know you're a gritty guy. Not a Chad.
Gritty guy. Foxhole guy.
No Chad.
Herb said it's Herb X Overland. Okay, I got you. Herb X Overland. We got you, Herb. Herb tuning into the show. Drew with the $5 super chat. First time catching your show. Pretty good, Chase. Go Niners. Thank you, bro. We appreciate that. And right now, we're literally just hanging out with everybody. We did 3 segments earlier. So hopefully you watched those segments and you got some football knowledge. We were informative, entertaining, insightful. As we talked about the latest with Bosa, we did a Niners-Steelers preview. We looked at every single starter and analyzed each player. 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and then took your questions. So we appreciate that there, Drew. We do appreciate that. And because you're watching the show for the first time, it didn't say that you're a first-time super chatter, but I think you are. So I'm going to give you a gold sticker, and you're going to go on the lunch pail as well. That also resets our super chat shot clock. And I did not expect us to be within range of $300 in donations today. I thought it was going to be a short show where we just talk some Niners, but you all have kept us live. Are we going to mess around and get to a 300 here? We're at 258. 258 is where we are. And for those of you who are enjoying today's show, you don't want to miss our watch party on Sunday. It's going to be an absolute blast, and we're going to be doing a super chat battle against Pittsburgh Steelers talk, and they have some high rollers. So get prepared for that. Mr. Block Ice resetting the clock once again, asking a good question here that's worthy of discussion, and we're going to reset the Super Chat shot clock back to a minute here. Mr. Block Ice, what do you think about our special teams kicker for week 1? I'm concerned about the special teams. I'm concerned about Jake Moody. He was dicey at best in the 2 preseason games in which we saw him. He missed 2 field goals first preseason game against the Raiders, and then missed a PAT against the Broncos. Did have the game winner thanks to Trey Lance driving the team down the field, but barely snuck that inside the right upright and then didn't play the final preseason game. In practice, Jake Moody was knocking through kicks 50, 60 yards, but practice totally different than the game, especially when you play in Pittsburgh. That's a tough stadium for kickers to kick in. The winds are going to be howling. Anybody who's been to that stadium, Pittsburgh's a really unique city. It's surrounded by mountains. Then you have the 3 rivers that come in. So there can be wind tunnels going throughout Acrisure Stadium, making kicking very, very difficult. So I'm concerned. At punter, I thought that Mitch Wishnowsky was not a good punter throughout the preseason. He was good at pinning teams inside the 20 last year, but the boots in the preseason were also well below average. So a little bit concerned there as well. Last call for any super chats. If you want to continue the show, we'll give you about a 20-second delay past our minute clock here. Are we going to get the 300? 5 for a Niner mug cheers, $10 your initials on the lunch pail. P coming in with the 5. You kidding me? All together, Lord, please bring Bosa to the Bay. Amen. AP. Lord, please bring Bosa to the Bay. Amen. We got you there, P. And that also resets the clock. P is a legend. P is a low-key legend. Always supporting the show. Appreciate you, Brody. And yeah, look, the Niners need Bosa. They have to understand. Bosa and the Niners, they have to understand. Super Bowl window, it is closing. The time to win, it is right now. And San Francisco, this is a team. They've been to 3 NFC championship games in 4 years. That success, very difficult to be sustainable beyond that 5-6 year mark. You think about recently, the Patriots have been able to go on those dynastic runs. The Philadelphia Eagles in the early 2000s, they went to 4 straight NFC Championship games and 1 Super Bowl. But it's difficult, given the physicality of this game, to continue that type of stretch. All right, back to a minute clock here. Back to a minute. Now I really mean it. I don't want to keep Rolly here too long. I know he's trying to enjoy his Labor Day, but we appreciate the support here on the show. James, this Bosa BS is getting old. It's getting old for everybody. I just don't understand how San Francisco can say, you know what, Nick Bosa's budgeted for, we're going to pay him, we're not going to trade him. If he was budgeted for, you had the funds, you just bought a professional soccer team, you have the money. If you're trying to figure out how you can fit him on the books as well as Brandon Ayuk and all of the other lofty extensions that you handed out the last few years, you had all offseason to do that. When he had 18.5 sacks, he won Defensive Player of the Year. You had to have known that he was going to ask for a deal that gave him more money than Aaron Donald. And you should have started prepping those contractual papers right then and there. All right, 20 seconds left on the Super Chat shot clock. If not, we out of here. Chris M. tuned in from Connecticut, as we have people tuned in from everywhere. The average Niner fan, who gets the donation? We didn't do a donation today, but we will do a donation for Sunday's watch party. Jack Colvin was the one who won this back during the preseason finale. All right, 20 seconds is up. York thinks the highest paid pass rusher is enough. It's not. He's an idiot if he thinks that that's the case. And he is ill-informed if he thinks that Bosa is just content with taking down T.J. Watt as the highest paid edge rusher at $28 million. He wants Aaron Donald money, and that should have been the expectation as soon as he had the season that he had and as soon as he won Defensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald signed that deal at the tail end of his prime. Nick Bosa is 25 right now. You can make the argument he's just entering his prime. Drew, you got me. Salute to you and salute to everybody who tuned into the show today. Thursday, we're back at it. If Bosa signs before then, regardless of the time, subscribe because we'll be going live. And this is the purpose of you turning on your notifications, because when we push out a video, when we go live, you will be notified. It keeps you in the know with all of the happenings for this football team. He's Rolly. I'm Chase. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. Thanks for making our show a part of your day on this Labor Day, and we'll catch you next time here on the show.